Sample question paper. Created by Couture Foundation. On ICSE's professional program. Group 2 elective paper 7.4. Banking and Insurance Laws and Practice. Lesson 5, Digital Banking. Banking and Insurance Laws and Practice. Sample question paper, total, 100 marks. Subject, Digital Banking. Part I, short answer questions, 40 marks. Instructions, answer all 10 questions in 2 to 3 sentences each, 4 marks each. Q1. Define digital banking. Answer, digital banking is the automation of traditional banking services, enabling customers to access banking products and services through electronic platforms. It involves the shift from physical to online delivery channels, encompassing all forms of financial transactions conducted via the internet or mobile devices. Q2. What is a neobank? Provide one characteristic. Answer, a neobank is a type of direct bank that operates exclusively online without any physical branch networks. A key characteristic is that they offer a seamless, mobile-first digital experience and typically leverage innovative technology to provide specialized financial services. Q3. Explain the term, core, in core banking solution, CBS. Answer, in CBS, the term, core, stands for, centralized online real-time exchange. This means all the bank's branches access applications from centralized servers, ensuring that transactions are updated in real time across the entire network simultaneously. Q4. List any 2 types of digital banking payments used in India. Answer, 2 common types of digital banking payments in India are the Unified Payments Interface, UPI, which allows instant real-time transfers between bank accounts, and the National Electronic Funds Transfer, NEFT, used for batch-based electronic fund settlements. Q5. What is the minimum and maximum transfer limit for RTGS? Answer, the real-time gross settlement, RTGS, system is primarily meant for large value transactions, requiring a minimum remittance amount of 2 rupees lakh. There is no upper ceiling or maximum limit set by the RBI for RTGS transactions, though individual banks may set their own operational limits. Q6. Briefly describe the purpose of an electronic clearing system, ECS. Answer, the purpose of ECS is to facilitate bulk transfer of funds from one bank account to many accounts, ECS credit, or vice versa, ECS debit. It is commonly used for repetitive payments like utility bills, insurance premiums, or salary and dividend distributions. The purpose of ECS is to facilitate bulk transfer of funds from one bank account to many accounts, ECS credit, or vice versa, ECS debit. It is commonly used for repetitive payments like utility bills, insurance premiums, or salary and dividend distributions. Q7. What is a virtual payment address, VPA, in the context of UPI? Answer, a VPA is a unique identifier that acts as an alias for a user's bank account details, such as name at bankname. It allows users to send and receive money through UPI without having to share sensitive information like their bank account number or IFSC code. Q8. Define cybercrime as per the provided lesson. Answer, cybercrime is defined as any unlawful act where a computer or a communication device is used either as a tool or a target to commit an offense. In the banking sector, it specifically refers to unauthorized access or manipulation of financial data and systems for fraudulent purposes. Q9. What is email SMS spoofing? Answer, email or SMS spoofing is a technique where the sender's address or header is manipulated to make the message appear as if it originated from a legitimate and trusted source, such as a bank. This is often used to trick recipients into revealing personal information or logging credentials. Q10. State the primary objective of introducing central bank digital currency, CBDC. Answer, the primary objective of introducing CBDC is to provide a digital form of sovereign currency that is as safe and liquid as physical cash while reducing the operational costs associated with physical currency management. It aims to bolster the digital economy and improve the efficiency of the payments system. Part 2, Essay type questions, 40 marks. Instructions, answer any 5 of the following questions in 200 to 300 words each, 8 marks each. Q1. Discuss the key benefits of digital banking for a modern consumer compared to traditional banking. Answer, digital banking represents a fundamental shift from brick and mortar banking to anywhere, anytime banking. For the modern consumer, the most immediate benefit is convenience and accessibility. Unlike traditional banking, which requires physical presence during specific banking hours, digital banking operates 24th July 365, allowing users to perform transactions from their homes or while traveling. This saves significant time and reduces the cost of commuting to branches. Furthermore, digital banking offers real-time tracking and transparency. Modern consumers can monitor their account activity instantly through mobile apps, receiving immediate alerts for every transaction, which aids in better financial management and fraud detection. It also provides a wider range of services at lower costs. Since banks save on physical infrastructure, they often pass these savings to customers through lower transaction fees or higher interest rates. Additionally, digital platforms empower users with self-service features, such as instantly blocking a lost card, opening fixed deposits, or investing in mutual funds without intermediary delays. Overall, it provides a seamless, personalized, and efficient financial ecosystem that traditional banking cannot match in speed or scale. Q2. Compare and contrast NEFT and RTGS based on settlement type, transfer limits, and suitability. Answer. NEFT, National Electronic Funds Transfer, and RTGS, Real-Time Gross Settlement, are the two primary pillars of electronic fund transfers in India, but they serve different purposes based on their technical frameworks. Settlement type. RTGS operates on a continuous, real-time basis. Each transaction is settled individually and immediately upon processing. In contrast, NEFT operates on a deferred net settlement, DNS, basis. Transactions are processed in hourly batches, 48 half-hourly batches daily, meaning there is a slight lag between initiation and settlement. Transfer limits. RTGS is specifically designed for high-value transactions. It has a minimum floor limit of 2 rupees lakh, with no maximum ceiling prescribed by the RBI. NEFT, however, has no minimum limit. It can start from 1 rupee, and generally no maximum limit, making it accessible for small-value retail remittances. Suitability. Because of its real-time and gross, individual nature, RTGS is most suitable for urgent, large-value business payments where immediate finality is required. NEFT is the preferred choice for routine, retail payments such as salary distributions, monthly bills, or small personal transfers where a short delay in settlement is acceptable. Q3. Explain the architecture and technological requirements of a core banking solution, CBS. Answer. The architecture of a core banking solution, CBS, is built on a centralized platform where all the bank's branches are networked. Instead of each branch maintaining its own local server, as in the legacy, total branch automation model, CBS centralizes all data and applications at a central data center, DC. This ensures that a customer is a customer of the bank, rather than a customer of a specific branch. Technological requirements include centralized database and application server. This hosts the core logic and customer data, ensuring real-time updates across all delivery channels, ATMs, mobile, internet. Network connectivity. High-speed, secure leased lines or MPLS networks are essential to connect remote branches to the central server without latency. Data recovery, DR, site, a secondary site that mirrors the central data center to ensure business continuity in case of a disaster. Security infrastructure, robust firewalls, intrusion detection systems, IDs, and encryption protocols are required to protect centralized data. Interfacing modules. The system must include middleware to allow the core engine to communicate with external interfaces like the UPI switch, SWIFT for international transfers, and ATM controllers. Q4. Analyze the various security precautions banking customers should take to ensure safe digital transactions. Answer. As banking moves online, the responsibility for security is shared between the bank and the customer. To ensure safe digital transactions, customers must adopt a multi-layered approach to cyber hygiene. Credential security. Users should never share their PINs, passwords, or one-time passwords, OTPs, with anyone, including individuals claiming to be bank officials. Passwords should be complex and changed frequently. Device and network safety. Transactions should only be conducted on trusted personal devices. Using public Wi-Fi or cyber cafes for banking is highly discouraged as these networks are prone to man-in-the-middle attacks. Devices should have updated antivirus software and the latest OS patches. Verification. Before entering details on a website, customers must ensure the site uses HTTPS, indicated by a padlock icon. One should also be wary of phishing or smishing, suspicious emails or texts that provide links to fake banking portals. Proactive monitoring. Enabling SMS and email alerts for all transactions allows for immediate detection of unauthorized activity. If a mobile phone is lost, the linked SIM card and mobile banking access should be blocked immediately to prevent SIM swapping, fraud. Q5. Describe the role of a Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, in managing a bank's cyber security strategy. Answer. The CISO is a senior-level executive responsible for establishing and maintaining the enterprise vision, strategy, and program to ensure information assets and technologies are adequately protected. In a bank, the CISO's role is critical due to the sensitive nature of financial data. The CISO is responsible for formulating the cyber security policy, which must be approved by the board of directors. Their duties include identifying potential cyber threats, conducting regular vulnerability assessments and penetration testing, VAPT, and ensuring the bank complies with RBI's cyber security frameworks. They oversee the Security Operations Center, SOC, which monitors the bank's network 24/7 for suspicious activity. Furthermore, the CISO plays a lead role in incident response. If a breach occurs, they manage the recovery process and report the incident to regulatory bodies like CERT. In beyond technical duties, the CISO also focuses on human firewalls by organizing awareness programs for employees and customers to prevent social engineering attacks. Q6. Explain the difference between retail CBDC, e-Rupee, and wholesale CBDC, e-Rupee. Answer. Central Bank Digital Currency, CBDC, is a digital form of legal tender issued by the RBI. While both are digital tokens representing the rupee, they differ in their intended uses and use cases. Retail CBDC, e-rupee. This is designed for the general public. It is a digital version of physical cash that can be used by individuals and businesses for everyday transactions. It offers the features of physical cash, like safety and immediate settlement, but in a digital format through a wallet provided by banks. It is intended to be used for person-to-person, P2P, and person-to-merchant, P2M, payments. Wholesale CBDC, e-rupee. This is restricted to financial institutions, like banks and non-banking financial companies. It is not available to the general public. Its primary purpose is to settle interbank transfers, government securities transactions, and cross-border payments more efficiently. By using wholesale CBDC, banks can reduce settlement risks and transaction costs by bypassing the need for complex clearinghouse intermediaries. Q7. Discuss how business intelligence, BI, and data analytics help banks offer tailor-made products. Answer. In the digital age, data is the new oil for banks. Business intelligence, BI, and data analytics allow banks to move from a one-size-fits-all approach to a customer-centric model. By analyzing vast amounts of transaction data, banks can identify patterns in customer behavior. For example, if data shows a customer frequently spends on travel, the BI system can trigger a tailor-made offer for a travel-specific credit card or a personal loan for a vacation. This is known as predictive modeling. Furthermore, analytics helps in credit scoring. Banks can assess the creditworthiness of a borrower by looking at their utility bill payment history or digital spending habits, allowing them to offer pre-approved loans to low-risk customers instantly. Beyond marketing, BI is used for risk management. Analytics can detect out-of-pattern transactions in real time, flagging potential fraud before it is completed. It also assists in churn prediction, identifying customers who might be planning to close their accounts, enabling the bank to offer incentives to retain them. Overall, BI and analytics transform raw data into actionable insights, improving operational efficiency and customer loyalty. Part 3. Case Study, 20 marks. Instructions. Read the following scenario and answer the 5 questions that follow. 4 marks each. Scenario. Mr. X, a small business owner, needs to transfer 5 lakhs rupees to a vendor immediately. He also wants to set up a system for his 50 employees' monthly salary payments. Recently, he received a suspicious call asking for his Aadhaar number and OTP to verify his bank account. Questions. Q1. Which digital payment mode, NEFT or RTGS, should Mr. X use for his 5 lakhs rupees transfer for immediate settlement? Justify your answer. Answer. Mr. X should use RTGS, real-time gross settlement, because the amount is above the 2 rupees lakh minimum threshold and he requires immediate settlement. Unlike NEFT, which processes transactions in batches, RTGS settles payments individually and in real time. Q2. Which digital banking facility is most suitable for Mr. X to handle the repetitive monthly salary payments for his 50 employees? Answer. The Electronic Clearing System, ECS, credit is the most suitable facility for handling bulk, repetitive payments like salaries. It allows Mr. X to debit his single account and credit the many accounts of his 50 employees simultaneously and efficiently. Q3. What type of cyber fraud is Mr. X being targeted with through the suspicious phone call? Answer. Mr. X is being targeted with phishing, voice phishing, which is a form of social engineering where fraudsters use phone calls to trick individuals into revealing sensitive information like Aadhaar numbers or OTPs. The caller is impersonating a bank official to gain unauthorized access to his financial accounts. Q4. If Mr. X wants to check his salary credit or account balance on the go without an internet connection, which service could he use? Answer. Mr. X can use *99# USSD banking services, which allow users to perform basic banking transactions like checking balances or mini statements using a mobile phone without an internet connection. Alternatively, he could use SMS banking by sending a predefined keyword to the bank's designated number. Q5. Identify 2 internal controls or security measures the bank's CBS uses to protect transactions like Mr. X's. Answer. The bank's core banking solution, CBS, utilizes role-based access control, ensuring only authorized personnel can process high-value transactions, and two-factor authentication, 2FA, which requires an OTP or secondary credential before a digital transfer is finalized. These measures ensure that even if basic login details are compromised, the transaction cannot be completed without further verification. Trophy Gold Medal Classical Building Woman Student. Test yourself. Q1. What is the need for digital banking? Answer. The need for digital banking arises from the fundamental shift in consumer behavior and the global move toward a less cash economy. Primarily, it addresses the limitation of physical boundaries. Digital banking allows for 24th July accessibility, removing the constraints of traditional banking hours. For banks, it is a necessity for operational efficiency. Maintaining physical branches is expensive, and digital channels significantly reduce the cost per transaction. From a customer's perspective, the need is driven by the demand for speed and convenience. In a fast-paced economy, waiting in queues for basic services like fund transfers or account statements is no longer viable. Digital banking provides instant gratification and real-time tracking of finances. Additionally, it promotes financial inclusion by reaching remote areas where opening a brick-and-mortar branch might not be commercially feasible. Finally, the need is fueled by the arrival of fintech competitors and neobanks, forcing traditional institutions to digitize to remain relevant and provide the seamless user experience that modern consumers expect. Q2. Why CRM and BI are considered an integral part of a bank's strategy? Answer. Customer relationship management, CRM, and business intelligence, BI, are integral because they allow banks to transition from being product-centric to customer-centric. In a highly competitive market, understanding the customer is the only way to ensure loyalty and reduce churn. CRM acts as the front-end strategy, capturing every interaction a customer has with the bank. It helps in creating a 360-degree view of the customer, enabling the bank to provide personalized service and resolve grievances faster. BI, on the other hand, is the analytical engine. It processes the vast amounts of data collected by the CRM and core banking systems to identify trends. For example, BI can reveal that a certain segment of customers is frequently traveling abroad, prompting the bank to offer them international travel insurance or multi-currency cards. Together, they allow for targeted marketing and cross-selling, ensuring that the bank offers the right product to the right customer at the right time, thereby maximizing profitability and enhancing the customer lifetime value. Q3. What are the reasons for increasing cyber frauds in banking? Answer. The surge in cyber frauds is a direct consequence of the rapid expansion of the digital footprint without a corresponding increase in user awareness. One primary reason is the proliferation of sophisticated social engineering techniques like phishing, wishing, and smishing. Fraudsters exploit human psychology rather than technical loopholes, tricking users into revealing OTPs or passwords. Another reason is the lack of digital literacy among a large section of the population that has recently migrated to digital payments. Many users do not follow basic cyber hygiene, such as using public Wi-Fi for banking or clicking on unverified links. Furthermore, the increasing complexity of banking ecosystems, involving multiple third-party APIs, payment gateways, and fintech partners, creates more entry points for hackers. On a technical level, the use of outdated software, unpatched systems, and the rise of malware as a service on the dark web has made it easier for criminals to launch large-scale attacks like ransomware or SIM swapping. The anonymity provided by the internet and the cross-border nature of these crimes also make it difficult for law enforcement to track and prosecute offenders. Q4. Why mobile wallets are becoming popular? Answer. Mobile wallets have gained immense popularity because they offer a level of frictionless payment that traditional cards or net banking often lack. Their primary appeal lies in simplicity and speed. A transaction can often be completed with a single tap or by scanning a QR code, eliminating the need to carry a physical wallet or remember complex bank account details. The integration of loyalty programs and incentives is another major driver. Wallets frequently offer instant cashbacks, reward points, and discount coupons that are immediately redeemable, creating a gamified spending experience. Moreover, they provide a sense of security and privacy for small transactions, as users do not have to expose their primary bank account details to every merchant. They only load the wallet with a specific amount. The rise of smartphones and cheap data in India, combined with the government's push for a digital India, has made mobile wallets the default payment method for everything from roadside vendors to high-end retail stores, effectively bridging the gap between cash and formal banking. Q5. Why India is moving towards core banking? Answer. India is moving towards core banking solution, CBS, to standardize banking operations and fulfill the vision of anywhere, anytime banking. In the pre-CBS era, a customer was restricted to their home branch because data was stored locally. Moving to CBS centralized all data, making the customer a bank customer rather than a branch customer. This shift is essential for scaling financial services. CBS allows for the seamless integration of modern delivery channels like ATMs, mobile banking, and UPI, which require real-time, centralized data to function. It also improves regulatory compliance and reporting. With CBS, the RBI and bank management can get an accurate, real-time picture of the bank's total liquidity, NPA levels, and transaction volumes, which was nearly impossible with fragmented branch data. Additionally, it enhances internal controls by implementing centralized, make-a-checker, protocols and reducing the chances of manual errors or localized frauds. Ultimately, CBS is the technological backbone required for India to compete in a global digital economy. Q6. What is the concept of digital banking? What are various types of digital payments and instruments used? Illustrate with industry examples. Answer. Digital banking is the total digitization of traditional banking activities that were previously only available inside a branch. It involves the use of technology to provide banking services like deposits, withdrawals, and transfers through electronic windows. Types and instruments with examples. Card-based payments includes debit and credit cards. Example, paying at a supermarket using a Visa or MasterCard on a POS, point of sale, Terminal. Internet banking, accessing the bank's portal via a browser. Example, setting up a standing instruction, SI, for a monthly recurring deposit. Mobile banking, using a dedicated app. Example, using the YONO app by SBI to check balance or open a fixed deposit. UPI, Unified Payments Interface, a real-time payment system. Example, sending money to a friend via PhonePe or Google Pay using AVPA, virtual payment address. Asterisk USSD, 99 hash banking without internet for basic phones. Example, dialing asterisk 99 hash to check account balance in rural areas. AEPS, Aadhaar-enabled payment system using biometrics. Example, withdrawing cash from a business correspondent in a village using a thumbprint. Q7. Elucidate the concept of core banking. Also explain the technology requirements and challenges faced in its implementation. Answer. Core banking, centralized online real-time exchange, is a system where all of a bank's branches share a single, central database. This allows customers to access their accounts and perform transactions from any branch or digital channel in the network, with the balance being updated instantly. Technology requirements. Central data center, high-end servers to host the core application and database. Networking, robust MPLS or leased line connectivity to link all branches to the center. Middleware, software that allows the core engine to talk to external systems, ATM switches, payment gateways. Disaster recovery, DR, a mirror site to ensure data is safe in case the main center fails. Challenges in implementation. Legacy data migration, moving decades of old, manually entered data into a new digital format is prone to errors. High cost, the initial investment in hardware, software licenses, and networking is massive. Resistance to change, staff used to traditional methods may find it difficult to adapt to the new digital workflow. Cybersecurity risks, centralizing all data makes the central server a high-value target for hackers. Q8. What do you understand by MIS? What components are required in its implementation, and also describe various types of MIS systems as applicable in industry. Answer. Management Information System, MIS, is a computer-based system that provides managers with the tools to organize, evaluate, and efficiently manage departments within an organization. In banking, it converts raw transaction data into meaningful reports for decision-making. Components required. Data resources, the raw facts stored in the CBS database. Software resources, programs that process data into reports, e.g., ERP or specialized banking MIS. Hardware, computers and servers required to process and store information. People, end users and IT professionals who operate the system. Types of MIS in industry. Transaction Processing System, TPS, records day-to-day transactions like deposits and withdrawals. Decision Support System, DSS, helps senior management make non-routine decisions, like setting interest rates based on market trends. Executive Information System, EIS, provides high-level summary, dashboards, for the CEO board to monitor overall bank performance. Expert Systems, uses AI to provide expert advice, such as automated credit scoring for loan approvals. Q9. Why business intelligence and data analytics are getting attention in Indian banking? What are its pros and cons? Answer. Business intelligence, BI, and data analytics are gaining massive attention because Indian banks are sitting on data gold mines. By analyzing this data, they can predict customer needs and mitigate risks. Pros. Enhanced customer experience, banks can offer personalized products, such as pre-approved loans, increasing customer satisfaction. Risk mitigation, analytics can identify early warning signals, EWS, for potential loan defaults, NPAs. Fraud detection, real-time monitoring can flag transactions that don't match a user's typical spending behavior. Operational efficiency, identifying bottlenecks in branch operations or app performance. Cons. Data privacy concerns, constant monitoring of customer spending can be seen as an invasion of privacy. Implementation complexity, requires highly skilled data scientists and expensive infrastructure. Data silos, if the data in different departments, e.g., credit cards versus home loans, isn't integrated, the analytics will be inaccurate. High maintenance, AI models and BI tools require constant updating to remain effective against evolving market trends. Q10. Central bank digital currency is akin to sovereign paper currency, but it is different. Explain. Answer. Central bank digital currency, CBDC, is the digital form of a country's fiat currency. While it is akin to paper currency because it is issued by the central bank, RBI, and is legal tender, it differs significantly in its physical and operational nature. Similarities. Sovereign guarantee, both are liabilities of the central bank, meaning they are the safest form of money. Unit of account, they both represent the rupee and are used for settlement at face value. Finality of settlement, just like giving someone a 500 rupees note completes a transaction, transferring CBDC results in an immediate and final settlement. Differences. Format, paper currency is physical and requires printing, storage, and transport. CBDC is a digital token stored in an electronic wallet. Cost of management: physical cash has high seigniorage costs, printing, security, soiled note replacement. CBDC drastically reduces these operational costs. Traceability: while paper cash is largely anonymous and difficult to track, CBDC leaves a digital trail, though the RBI aims to provide anonymity for small transactions, helping in the fight against money laundering and terror financing. Programmability: unlike paper cash, CBDC can be programmed, e.g., ensuring a subsidy is spent only on its intended purpose like fuel or seeds. Thanks to learn with us. You can find more study content on our website couture.com.